I always believed that love was loud, that it laughed at the dinner table, echoed through the hallway, left sweet crumbs of gratitude. But in my house, love was quiet. Love worked double shifts and came home with aching feet. Love paid the bills before buying new shoes. Love never asked for thanks, and never got any. They called me strong, but they never saw me cry in the laundry room. Never noticed when my hands trembled folding their clothes. They just kept bringing me more to carry, and I kept carrying it. There was a time, long ago, when their tiny arms wrapped around my neck. Sticky kisses, crooked drawings. I love you, mommy, scrawled in shaky crayon. I saved every one. Still have them in a box beneath my bed. Sometimes I take them out just to remember. To remind myself I didn't imagine it all. Back then, even with no money and no help, I felt needed. Their giggles made me forget we couldn't afford heat. Their bedtime stories made cold spaghetti taste like gold. It wasn't easy, but it was ours. But something shifted. They got older, and I disappeared. Not all at once. Just little things. They stopped telling me things. Stopped calling. Stopped looking back when they walked out the door. I blamed myself at first. Maybe I wasn't enough. Maybe I gave too much. Maybe I taught them that I didn't matter. Because I always put myself last. The silence grew louder with each passing year. Birthdays turned into text messages. Visits became obligations. Their voices changed. Colder. Sharper. Like I was a burden they didn't sign up for. And still, I defended them. When my friends asked why I didn't see them more often, I made excuses. They're busy. They have their own lives. They'll come around. But they didn't. They stopped noticing when I got sick. Stopped asking if I needed anything. Stopped being my children. The house felt emptier than ever. Not just of people, but of purpose. I cooked meals no one ate. I folded laundry no one wore. I lit candles no one noticed. Sometimes I'd sit at the table and talk, just to hear a voice. Even if it was mine. There was one night. I burned my hand on the stove. Dropped the pot. The noise echoed through the house. No one came running. No one was there. That was the moment it hit me. Not that they were gone, but that they had chosen to be. They hadn't just drifted away. They had walked, and they had not looked back. I gave them everything. Every hour, every dollar, every dream. And all I got in return was silence. But even silence tells a story. A story of who they became, and of who I let myself become. I'm not angry. Not yet. But I feel something rising. Something that's been quiet for too long. I didn't speak for a while. Not because I chose silence, but because there was no one left to listen. Like cracks in the wallpaper. My life began to split in small, invisible lines. Like a plant drying from the roots. My spirit shriveled without notice. The silence they gave me wasn't just a lack of words. It was a way of saying I didn't exist anymore. Not erased. Not dead. Just overlooked. One day, a small envelope arrived. No letter. No explanation. Just a few official papers. My son's name on the top. And a space for my signature at the bottom. Property transfer agreement. I couldn't breathe. This is how you speak to me now. No phone call. No visit. Just sign here? I stared at the words until my eyes burned. Nothing changed. And I quietly folded the paper shut. That night, I cleared out one of the bedrooms. Books, photos, old toys. I didn't throw them away. Just packed them into boxes and moved them to the garage. The room was empty, just like me. A friend said to me, "You've carried them long enough. Maybe it's time to carry yourself." But how do you do that? How do you live for yourself when all you've ever done is live for others? Even without them. I still woke up at 6 a.m., made breakfast, cleaned the house, But no one came to eat. No one walked through the door. The house felt like a museum of memories. Sometimes I'd look in the mirror and not recognize the woman staring back. Deep wrinkles, tired eyes, a smile I had forgotten how to use. That was me. But something strange happened in that silence. My eyes cleared. They had abandoned me. But I hadn't completely abandoned myself. One night, I took out the document again. Instead of signing, I wrote something small at the bottom. My life doesn't end with your signature. And something stirred inside me. Tiny, but solid. Resolve. I scrubbed the kitchen, replaced a broken light bulb, and on the mailbox where my name had faded, I wrote it again. Margaret Wilson. I wasn't gone. I wasn't erased. I wasn't discarded. Whether they remember or not, whether they come back or not, I am still here. I started walking. Not far, just around the block. The first day, I barely made it to the mailbox. The second, to the corner. By the end of the week, I was breathing again. With every step, I left a little more of the pain behind. Not all of it, but just enough to stand taller. I began rearranging the house. Not to impress anyone, just to make it mine again. I gave away the dishes no one used, donated the coats that no one came to collect, hung pictures of myself for once, not just of them. One morning, I opened the windows wide, let the air in, let the world in. It smelled like dust and sunlight and the tiniest bit of hope. I went to the market, talked to strangers, laughed at nothing, and for the first time in years, I didn't feel invisible. No one noticed my missing wedding ring. No one asked why I was alone, and that somehow felt like freedom. I started writing again, just a journal at first, but then poems, then letters I never sent, then pages filled with things I never said out loud. I wanted to be seen. I needed help, and I was too proud to ask. I loved you more than you will ever know. And finally, I'm still worthy of love. The silence didn't vanish, but I stopped letting it define me. They still didn't call. They didn't visit, and maybe they never will. But I made a new friend at the library. Her name's Lorraine. She lost someone too. We talk about books, soup recipes, and grief. And sometimes, we don't talk at all. Just sit on the bench and watch the wind. That silence feels different. Not empty. Not cruel. Just quiet. The kind you choose. I'm not the woman I was. And I don't want to be her again. I gave them everything. And maybe, just maybe, I can give something to myself now. I didn't hear from them on my birthday. Not even a message. I baked myself a cake. Lopsided. Too sweet. But mine. I sat on the porch and lit one candle. Just one. And made a wish I never expected. Let me stop waiting for what will never come. I don't check my phone as much now. I don't rehearse conversations in my head. I don't wonder if they feel guilty. Maybe they do. Maybe they don't. It doesn't matter anymore. I've started planting again. The garden had been bare for years. Now color creeps back in. Slowly, bravely. I speak softer now. Not because I'm afraid, but because I don't need to shout to be heard by myself. Sometimes, Lorraine and I talk about what forgiveness means. Not for others, but for ourselves. I don't know if I've forgiven them, but I know I've stopped begging to be seen. The silence is still there, but I filled it. With music, with words, with life. I used to think love meant giving until there was nothing left. But now I know. Real love doesn't erase you. Real love sees you, holds you, stays even when it's hard. And if they ever come back, if one day they remember, I'll listen, but I won't disappear again. I gave them everything, and they gave me silence. But in the silence, I found myself, and that, at last, was enough.